The decision by Japan and Germany to phase out nuclear power has one U.S. official concerned about a possible decline in the number of trained engineers. U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission Chief Alison McFarland spoke at a public meeting in Washington on Thursday. She expressed concern about the challenges nuclear administrators face after last year's accident at Japan's Fukushima Daiichi power plant.
You're not probably going to see a lot of young people becoming nuclear engineers. And so this is a concern not only to the nuclear industry, but to the regulators, because you want to make sure that you have adequate staff to ensure that these facilities operate safely.
McFarland also mentioned Japan's Nuclear Regulation Authority, which was launched last month. She said she thinks the new organization is better than its predecessor because of its higher degree of independence.
The Japanese government has decided on a new stimulus package worth over $5 billion. The new measures are designed to prop up the nation's economy. The program was adopted at a cabinet meeting on Friday. It will be financed by existing funds, including reserves from this year's budget. The package includes about $1 billion in subsidies for small and medium-sized firms and stores in areas hit by the March 11th disaster last year. It will let them jointly launch businesses. About $500 million are earmarked to support firms that build new factories in Fukushima Prefecture. Also, about $1.5 billion will be used to improve preparedness for natural disasters.
Dr. Shuntaro Hida has been fighting against an invisible enemy for much of his life, and at 95 years old, he's still fighting. Hida survived the Hiroshima atomic bombing, and he treated about 6,000 other survivors until he retired 3 years ago. He spoke tirelessly about the dangers of radiation, especially internal exposure. Now, that's different from external exposure. That refers to radiation penetrating the body from the outside, as what happened to many residents of Hiroshima and Nagasaki when the atomic bombs exploded and released extremely strong rays. Internal exposure, on the other hand, refers to the effects of absorbing radioactive particles by breathing or by ingesting contaminated food. Some experts say low doses of radiation do not pose serious health risks. But Dr. Hida and others maintain radioactive particles can destroy cells, alter DNA, and cause all sorts of illnesses. 67 years after the atomic bombings, Hida's warnings are attracting new attention. NHK World's Chie Yamagishi reports.
Shuntaro Hida visits this place every August 6th. It's one of the memorials in Hiroshima for the victims of the atomic bombing.
The experience of the atomic bomb was a special and a big issue in my life. It changed my view of life as a doctor.
Back in 1945, Hida was serving as an army doctor in Hiroshima. Hida was exposed to radiation, but he still worked tirelessly, treating survivors in the aftermath. He was surprised when he started seeing patients who had escaped the blast but had returned to the city days later. They were also dying of acute radiation syndrome, showing symptoms such as high fever, hair loss, and bleeding. Hida watched over the years as more survivors developed cancer and other diseases. Authorities restricted reporting of A-bomb health damage for several years after the war. So it wasn't until the 1970s that Hida realized his patients were likely suffering from internal radiation exposure.
In Hiroshima, radiation killed human beings for the first time. Still now, the nature of the radiation damage cannot be understood from a medical point of view, nor can it be treated.
Hida dedicated his life to educating people about the long-term health damage radiation can cause. He delivered speeches around the world. Then last year's accident at Fukushima Daiichi gave him a new focus. Many people in Japan wanted to hear his message. Parents in particular. They worry radiation from the damaged plant could harm their children. Yoko Hashimoto is a mother of two living in Tokyo.
My children grow up with what I give them to eat, and I feel horrified about the possible effect on them.
Hashimoto and a group of mothers turned to Hida so they could be better informed. Hida explained how atomic bomb victims became sick. He also criticized politicians and experts who say the radiation released by Fukushima Daiichi poses no risk.
Internal radiation exposure is indeed dangerous. Once you absorb even a low dose, it will cause damage. We experienced this horror many times after Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Hida told mothers that many A-bomb survivors tried hard to prevent being sick by taking every measure to maintain good health.
You should spend the rest of your life working together to shut down nuclear plants and abolish nuclear weapons.
I will think about how not to be a victim of radiation.
Dr. Hida has delivered more than 150 speeches since the Fukushima nuclear accident.
There is no other surviving doctor who can speak about the damage from radiation exposure. The government and other elites say that people don't need to worry about internal exposure. But I've seen evidence to the contrary. I have to speak about it, even though it's hard at times.
The 95-year-old says he's committed to teaching the next generation the lessons of the past and reminding them of the dangers they face in the present. Chie Yamagishi, NHK World, Hiroshima.
business in northern Japan has looked across the sea to Russia's Far East and spotted an opportunity there. Resource projects have created an economic boom in the region of Sakhalin, and incomes are rising. So one Japanese firm is hoping residents will spend some of their cash on something that they can't get. That's fresh imported sushi ingredients.
This shopping mall is located in Sakhalin's largest city, Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk. In late September, sushi was put on the shelves. It was made with fresh fish imported for the first time directly from Hokkaido in Japan.
I love Japanese food, especially sushi and sashimi.
Tuna and yellowtail are especially popular sushi ingredients in Sakhalin. But these fishes are not found in the region's coastal waters. This caught the attention of a food company that has been running a supermarket for Russian customers in Wakkanai for 15 years. Masaru Yoshikawa is president of the company. He exported the fishes not found in the waters off Sakhalin on a trial basis.
We shipped them from Wakkanai. We thought we could keep them fresh if we used a direct ferry service between Wakkanai and Sakhalin.
Usually, imported sushi ingredients are sent to Sakhalin through Moscow, but this takes about 3 months, and it's often difficult to keep them fresh. Yoshikawa spotted a business opportunity in Wakkanai's geographical advantage. The city is located only 5.5 hours away by ferry from Sakhalin. His company exported 30 kilograms of yellowtail and 20 kilograms of tuna to Sakhalin. It used a regular ferry service connecting Wakkanai and Sakhalin. A freezer was newly installed in the ferry. The company also had a refrigerator truck ready at Korsakov port. At the shopping mall, a pack of 12 pieces of sushi was sold for about $26. The price was higher than in Japan, but sales were brisk.
They look good.
But some problems were found during the test export. Because Sakhalin's quarantine authorities weren't used to inspection of frozen foods, clearance took 2 weeks longer than expected. The company thought it would need improvement. The freshness of the ingredients is its selling point.
Those problems will be solved eventually, and customs and quarantine clearance will become faster.
But it remains to be seen whether this new business will take root in Sakhalin or the economy continues to boom.